Next to the stage, I would like to welcome an extremely visionary technologist who is a passionate change agent who just came back to Capital One in 2022 and leading a team of data platforms for the company. Prior to this, she spent 6 years at the Capital One card tech and finance tech and small business tech teams. She's also active as a volunteer, contributing to Capital One's Women in Tech program and Origins, as well as nonprofits, including an awesome organization she was telling me about this morning called Bullying Girls, Code VA, and Wings for Growth. So please, let's give a big welcome to Nisha Paliwal. Nisha.
How will we say good morning? Now again, good morning, everybody. Good morning. All right, thank you very much. And thank you, Keenan, if he's still in the crowd, thank you for the wonderful prompt here, because the topic is, next is all about humanity and this AI. In fact, I was just reading a LinkedIn post while Keenan was talking. So you know the amount of data we are collecting for all this AI is in 8 zeros. So it was yottabyte, right? Something like that, 8 zeros. And apparently we had to make up new words to come up with 9 zeros and 10 zeros. So you'll have to look up those words. What are those terms? And apparently Amazon CEO got on stage to talk about it will take 40% world economy to pay for that storage. Let's savor that moment, team. It will take 40% of world economy to pay for that storage. And NVIDIA, which is an Intel chip company, is already freaking out. Because who will create all this hardware that is needed to do the AI and generative and AGI and many other things? Anyway, that's not my topic. So my topic is about human legacy. So I am actually going to ask Brian, and I should first say, thank you, Brian, thank you, Kavita, Fabrice, Terran, all the crew, and Laurel, filming here, sitting here, for helping on this chat. So the first question is really, what does it even mean to be human? So Brian, I would love for somebody in the audience to get us started, and I need that mic. What does it mean to be human? Anybody?
Who's got an answer? What it means to be human. All right. One of my plants in the audience, Aaron.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's always soft. You obviously know that. But there's this interesting relationship between the human collective conscience and the individual, where you really can't be a conscious individual as an individual. It takes a network of people. So it's the realization of consciousness is necessary to be conscious, and it's the circular catch-22. So it's very, very hard to define, but it's this sense of sentience and also the sense of individualness in connection to other people that really defines what it means to experience life as a sentient being, which doesn't get quite to humanity, but that's as far as I'm going for my snippet of time.
Oh, some wonderful words there, team. If you have notes or mental connection, beautiful word. So we'll get to some of those words. Any other person on the audience who want to say one more person?
Who's got it? All right.
I am sure we
All
have.
right.
Yeah,
Anybody?
There you go. Thank you so much. And
run.
a name would be wonderful, just to say who you are.
Oh, Mason Montgomery, Deloitte, and I'd say having choice.
Say that again.
Having choice.
Having choice. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. Deloitte, and you didn't say your name. Aaron. Aaron, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. So that's really my talk today. And bunch of it is really my own experiences more than anything. And Laurel and Fabrice also shared this small card. I would love for you to keep it in your pocket. I keep it here too, just to remind ourselves. We'll keep coming back to these questions. There's a front and a back. We'll keep coming back to these questions. What is our purpose? And what is the legacy? And we'll keep coming back to these questions again and again. There was a beautiful documentary from BBC. I think it's a couple years old now. I must have read a couple years ago. 100,000 years ago, we as a species started migrating from what was dry savannas, East Africa, to where we are, the countries and the cities that we live in. For those who have studied this, the historical trend that happened. Then, somewhere around 12,000 or so, we started saying, oh, we got to hunt animals and plants, and we got to grow all these things to live. At that time, believe it or not, human brain was huge. So if you see the pictures, you will be able to see that. Brain was huge because, thanks to what was said here, the connections wasn't there. There wasn't a part of social brain, which we developed later on, right? Then somewhere 2,500 years ago, somewhere in East Europe, people started saying, oh, we got to do this better. We got to live better. We got to do it better. And then 500 years ago, this whole scientific revolution, industrial revolution, agricultural revolution started. And guess what? This is the best part. In my own lifetime, 51, I just turned 51, 50 years, I have seen the world shrunk right in front of my own eyes. So the evolution that is happening, and then what we want to be and what we want to leave behind is a fascinating question. And of course, Keenan has already prompted us. Bunch of this is happening right in front of us today. Will it be a same pace? Probably not. What was it, 2012, right? The models came up, he said 2012. It's not even it's in the destiny. So for those of you who are just starting in this workspace, this is a question we have to keep asking and answering. But as we ask these questions, I didn't introduce myself. So I got to do that first. So who am I? I have multiple roles. I'm a mother to two very beautiful girls, 18 and 13. I am a sister, a little bit about her shortly. Of course, I'm a daughter. And Duke, poor Duke is suffering from cancer, but we are treating him. There is no medicine right now for him, but we hope and pray that he'll get better. And I am, like Brian was sharing, I am a board advisor, board member, and a volunteer to 3 nonprofits because of my mission that I am driving. I am a technologist by heart, a change agent by heart. I lead a massive organization at Capital One called Enterprise Data Technology. This division of the company is helping get real-time intelligence. So ML, AI, very close to our heart, and some of our technologists are here in the room as well. And why this topic of human science and technology is close to my heart is because of my master's. I did master's in microbiology way back when. So I cannot give up this thought of connection of the human brain to everything we do in technology. In fact, when I became mother, now 18 years ago, I was just fascinated. I can say this joke because I'm a female, that I gave birth to a human brain which can process information in minutes in 9 months. Okay, I'm sure some model will beat me eventually, like Keenan said, but not right now, not at this moment at least. So that's a little bit who I am. This part I forgot to tell you. I'm also co-authoring a book on AI. Keenan would love for you to read the book based on your... so this is the book all about artificial intelligence, and more importantly, how do we get value out of AI? Because today, it is a very scientific, and I'm fascinated by the authors. They are both German, and more research I do, how much Germany is doing on this topic, you all should read up. There's all the way from, I think there's a German professor who has created a version of herself. So imagine, next time, Brian, on this conference, you have an AI version of Nisha or a Keynote version of Nisha. That'll be fantastic, right? So that's about to come. So these both authors are from German. They are more into academics. I'm more in the practical. So we are forming a good coalition of, hey, what does that theory and practice that comes together? So hopefully this book will come out soon. I'm still waiting on approvals from Capital One, so a lot is happening there. So now there are three stories. I want to connect these dots and leave you, hopefully, thinking about this topic, because many of you are taking the charge of drafting that future for us as a human species. So I'm going to go back to April 12th, 2016. April 12th, 2016, 9:45 a.m. I get a call. There's a tragic news. We lost someone. We lost someone 45 years old, a female bike rider, bold female in India. She was riding her bike. She took a turn, hit the handle of Harley Davidson, left-hand side, liver rupture, 45 minutes. She was gone. It's hard to talk about her even today. She's Vinu Paliwal, my elder sister. Sorry about that. Never happens without tears. Never happens, even after 7 years. She was one rebellious force in India at that time. One of 25 females. And anybody know India's population? Anybody? Okay, somebody knows India population. India population, 1 in 25 females riding the bike, making a documentary on India, something called Ye Hai India, which in Hindi, in English means this is India. She was making that documentary when she was taking this bad turn in India, lost her life. Even today, I can't talk about it without crying. However, this is the magic of autonomous vehicles. Germany, after a few years, I figure, actually has a bike. Actually has a bike, which when it takes turn, I've seen the video on, of course, the YouTube. You can probably search it. When it takes turn, it actually tells the, hey, Vinu, wrong turn. Don't take this turn. Or stop. There's something obstacle. And this literal turn, if you look up and Google her, she's on Google and everywhere. This is a turn. Apparently, a lot of accidents happen on that turn. Buses have tripled, and a lot of things have happened on that particular turn. And this bike? And yes, the question on my mind, I'm sure you can tell me, the question on my mind today. Somebody? What is the question on my mind? I am sure somebody knows the answer.
Raise your hand. Yep.
Could this advanced bike have made it so that she avoided this?
Thank you. Absolutely. This bike could have saved her. She would be amongst us talking about it. All the crew who used to follow her in India would be far ahead. She left a legacy behind her, which is still being carried over, and I get tons of emails even from BMW till this date. However, there is another part of humanity which I question all this autonomous vehicles and AI can carry, which is her free spirit, her rebellious nature, the legacy that she has left behind. Back again, the question, what do we want to leave behind for our own species? Yes, we want safe roads, safer vehicles, safer everything, but we don't want to kill that spirit. Do we? Probably not. Bunch of questions, no answers. This is my life, right? And give you another example. So this is the other part of the story. So I told you, right, as a mother, I have been in this fascinating, because of technology and science, and I've been in this dilemma. On one hand, I can produce life, yeah, and other hand, humanity, we are up for destruction too. Same, right? We are talking of robots which can go into the war field and do this, and without thinking can kill people or whatever it can do. So we are in this birth and the other side of it. Have we become God suddenly or what? Right, is the question on my mind. However, this human brain continues to inspire me. So I'm a voracious reader. I didn't tell that I do a lot of books references. So here is 2 book references for those who love reading. One is Jeff Hawkins. He has done 30 years of research on this topic of why AI is not ahead of humans. That's called 1,000 Brains. Fascinating read. First part of the book, he describes how human brain works. The second part of the book, he describes a theory of how potentially AI can think about it. None of our models today is thinking like that. And Keenan is more experienced, he can share with you, but I'm not that experienced as he is. But none of the models do that today. However, Jeff Hawkins, after 30 years of research, I think has cracked theoretically the nut of maybe how human brain works. Maybe, because that's still a theory. And there is another fascinating author, Marcus Buckingham, Love and Work, his latest book. He was part of the cohort who created the original model of how we measure human productivity and engagement. And now he has written a book, Love and Work. And here is, for the mathematician in the group, I'm going to ask this question, so start your math. He says, every human brain has 5,000 worth of galaxies of light. Why? Because our brain, the neuron connections that happen by the time we are 21, is just number of connections that are formed. So imagine now, 8 billion population on the earth, times whatever, or forget the population on the earth. Just this room. How many, Brian, do you think are sitting here? 200,
Yeah,
maybe?
about 200, yeah.
200 people. 200 people with 5,000 worth of galaxies in the brain. The creativity of every human being is so amazing, and this human brain is so amazing piece of art, which nobody has figured out. We are all creating. This German scientist created herself, but if you look at her video in YouTube, she talks about how it's still machinery. Now AGI is coming, watch for that. Maybe we will be able to create a version of everything out there. But this study, I'm going to tell you, there's 2 fascinating studies I followed. One was from Budapest University. This one, they actually published in 2009 scientific American journal or a scientific journal of some sort. And what they were studying was fascinating. They were studying 2-day human baby, 2-day-old. How many of you have seen human babies? Most of you, right? Most of you. 2-day human baby. Can hardly blink eyes even, right? So they were studying how will that baby process when they give different types of music to the brain. And they wanted to see what activity happens on the brain and whether different parts of the brain would light or not. That's what happened. And guess what? I'm sure Keenan can tell us that there are robots who can, I think you were saying in your talk how, hey, we can create music, and my younger one learns violin and piano. We have this debate every day. Can they create music the same way, and can we have, of course it can. But 2-day human baby processing that music, that baby even in sleep can beat a robot today, right? So that's the creativity we have to harness. So one call to action here is, how do you harness that 5,000 worth of galaxy that's sitting there. Because it's only you. Tons of data scientists in the room, technologists in the room, leaders in the room. My role as a leader, I have 1,500 people who work for me. My role every day in the company is all about how I harness that power. I have ML engineers, I have data engineers, I have different parts of the job roles or whatever we perform. But apart from job roles, just was talking to Fabrice this morning. You can ask him. He's a communicator. He writes beautiful communication. And I was telling him, like what he has, nobody has. And this I can tell for every 200 person on the audio. So that's something, again, human creativity. We have to keep thinking about it. And what does it mean, right? And then comes a beautiful word about connection. And I'm going to start this. Yeah, like no talk can go talking about COVID, can it? No, not in this era. So we just got hit by COVID, something called COVID 3 years ago. How many of you actually attended, let's say, a wedding over Zoom? Anybody? That's it? Okay. Keep your hands raised if you had the same feeling and affection. So I did. I did during COVID. I worked from my basement in McLean, Virginia, and I had the pleasure of attending, actually, one of my colleagues' wedding. We did dress up. We did all that, but there were no hugs. There were no dances. There was no, pleasure of innate human capabilities. The connection, such a beautiful word, right? How many times, another question for you, how many times have we got on a call, or maybe even Zoom, and somebody came up, how are you, Nisha? Nisha doesn't speak. And you have picked up. What's going on? Can you tell me more? It was my sister's death anniversary. I can't really speak today, right? Only humans can do that in fraction of seconds. This brain has so much power. In fraction of seconds, we pick up. How's the other person feeling? A simple hug. Ask Kavita. This morning, simple hug can tell how are you feeling about it. Simple hug I gave on Kavita, and she said, are you nervous? I'm like, yep, nervous, right? So this is the beautiful human. But what you see picture, again, from Germany probably, is I came across doing my research for this topic, is there are actually, and this is the beautiful part of technology and advancement, there are partners that are being deployed in the hospital system, elderly. There are a lot of people who are lonely, right? There are a lot of people who are in need of help. There are a lot of elderly people. Another story, sad but happy it ended well. My father, right in middle of COVID, everything was shut down, no travel. He's in India, Jaipur, Rajasthan. He got diagnosed with 3rd stage lymphoma. And I am here. Sister is no more. There's nobody to help him. My mother is there, but she doesn't drive or anything. I am devastated. I'm like, I can't come, crying over phone. But guess what? He was in the hospital. I was all the time on the FaceTime with him. I was talking to him. There were no hugs, but as soon as I got a moment, they were on a flight to US, but yeah, got the hug. He's fine and all that. The Zoom, the world has shrunk, I told you, right? The Zoom has enabled us quickly get on it, FaceTime, get on it, right? It does let us get connected in ways that we have not been able to connect in the world. I remember 98. I came to this country in 98. And on my birthdays, my parents, who were in India at that time, had to go maybe a mile or kilometer out to make a phone call. That also was very expensive. He's like, happy birthday. Cut down the phone. I'm like, happy birthday, hugs, maybe. And now, every occasion, kids' birthday, Diwali, all festivals. They are on FaceTime. We do hours and hours of rituals together. Everything is together. That's the fascinating part of technology that we are seeing now. But we are missing somewhere during development of this technology, somewhere we are still missing. And I think, Keenan, thank you. You touched on these topics of ethics and responsibility. Because as a human, one of our innate quality is that of duty. You all have so many roles, right, that you play in your life, and we do it dutifully. Whether working for Capital One, whether giving the speech for Brian, whether driving to the, whatever it is, we do it with a lot of duty and a lot of pride. That's human. So as we embark on this journey of innovation that we are embarking on, which every day is fascinating and it will make our life easier, yes, it might have, because of automation, it might have to question what are we going to be losing in the process, the mundane jobs that we do, whether it's autonomous cars or whatever. However, back to the creativity of the brain. It's unto us to figure out how that innovation sparks. So I'll tell you one quick example, and then you can tell me your examples. As part of the nonprofit, I told you I'm working on a mission. So these 3 nonprofits, Bullion Girls, Code VA, they are focused on kids' education in STEM. Bullion Girls, very, very dedicated to girls. So as a woman in tech, of course, I am biased. Sorry about that. But I am dedicated to their advancement in tech. Code VA, all about school policies in the Virginia region. And then Bullion Girls, all about corporate America and how do they advance, not just America, I would say corporate world, because it is hard for girls to climb this ladder. And I'm standing and telling you the truth, it is damn hard to do that. However, I'm working on figuring out how to mechanize the whole process. Thanks to AI, thanks to model, we have the data. We should be able to mechanize how do you hire a URG candidate, how you retain the URG candidate, how do you compensate them, and when they come to your company, how do you engage them, and what do you do in that whole process? That should be able to mechanize. And then, back to school system, should we change our curriculum? Because maybe in future, you won't need these skill sets that are there today. The skill sets of the future are asking questions, being that solution-minded, being that, and maybe the skill sets have to change. The policies in the school systems have to change. So don't know in this lifetime if I'll be able to make that, but I'm going to keep trying. I'm sure you all are doing something like that, so we'll love to hear that. But I am going to go back to the cards. You all have it in front of you. What is the purpose and what's the legacy we want to leave behind? As the different roles, different things we do, connecting many things from science and biology. I told you about the Intel chip problem, but I also heard they are now mimicking the nervous system, neuromorphic computing. That is true, that is real, right here in our footstep. We will have to mimic this wonderful part, human that we are. But in this process, let's not forget who we are, because it's not a competition. It's not a competition of any sort. Yes, there is creativity, there is automation, there is standardization. Obviously there is. And we should strive for that, because look at our history, where we came from, 100,000 years to today, 2023. What will be one era out? Who knows? But today, as we live today, if I get hit by the bus going back home, my mission is to continue doing what I just told you. And that mission will continue, right? And we are going to use this technology to advance that mission. Because who knows, I get hit by the bus today, right? So my call to action here is think about the purpose. Think about what are we going to leave behind every day, each and every day. Thank you so much. Any questions?
questions.
Yeah.
Can we take some questions? Do people have questions for Nisha?
Or share what you're doing.
Yeah, or share your thoughts. Anyone? We got to have some bold people in here. Come on. I know you're all data scientists, data engineers, but there's some bold people. Oh, sorry, I couldn't see with the light. All right. Who was raising their hand? Someone? Nobody? All right. Oh, sorry. Okay. Sorry. Thank you. All right, here you go.
Hi. Thanks for coming here and talking to us. I'm wondering, with this question of human legacy, is there a concern, or do you ever think about the difference between individuals leaving a legacy and like the species as a whole leaving a legacy, and the power of individuals to change, not just us in this room with the power and influence that we probably have, but also the kind of normal people, not to say that we're not normal, but the, everyday Joe on the street who's, focused on living their life.
Yes, absolutely. And again, I'll keep going back to each human is so unique. I will ask you to find your unique contribution to this mission, because we have to think. And I don't know if you're a parent yet, but when you get to be a parent, you have to think about it. What are we going to leave? That question for my 18 and 13, I think about every day, getting up, going to bed. I think about it as a leader, 1,500 people who work for me in the organization. What am I going to leave behind for them? So this question has to be kept asking. Individually, we can do only so much. We are a species of community. That's why Brian brings this together, the like-minded people, to think about it, to contribute together, and do things together. Because if my math is right, 2 + 2 makes 4, right?
Thank you. Any other questions? What else we got? All right. Awesome. Thank you.
I want to thank you for the stories. I think they were wonderful. And I really appreciated the point you made about how quickly we go from, when we're speaking with someone, how quickly we go from listening to them and becoming empathetic. You told the story about how someone didn't respond right away, and you right away went empathetic and realized there was something there. That would be such a challenge for ML to do. How would it do that? Would we want it to do that? Certainly, I think it's part of the answer to the bias and the ethical issues. What are your thoughts on the ability to fold that kind of thing and actually be able to do it in a machine environment?
Yeah, the context setting is such a phenomenal act that humans can do in literally, I don't even know, nanoseconds. Like, we quickly can, even with a simple hug, I told you, Kavita quickly, she knows me for a couple years, so she quickly identified I'm nervous. Whether it was heart beating or what she identified, I don't know, but that touch, to your point, immediately. Now, a transformer touch, would that ever be real? And to your point, would we ever want to? Now, during this research, Fabrice and I also came across this video, and as a mother, I just cried after seeing this video. Thankfully, it is not true today, but this video was about a boy who has been raised by a robot. And at a certain age, he doesn't recognize his mother. Do I ever want to see that world? I hope I die before that and go to somewhere else. I do not want to see that day. I can't fathom that day. But to your question, is one era out when our brains either go big again or shrink further? I don't know what will happen of humanity, but will that be okay for us in the future? I really don't know, but till I am alive, hopefully not. And frankly, the legacy that I want to leave for the kids behind should be brighter than that. That, hey, these connections matter, these touches matter, these empathetic, compassionate matter. So as they are, so my 13-year-old is already a budding cybersecurity. Keenan, maybe she will be with you shortly. She wants to do cyber. She's already into AI and already doing that. And I keep teaching her every day. But you have to start early. You have to teach them early. Your next generations come, and hopefully they'll pass it on. But who knows the answer to your question?
Any other big questions for Nisha? We got a couple minutes. Oh, okay. I was over there before, and now you get your hand up. All right.
Or share your, I would love to hear anybody's story, what they are doing on this cause.
I like your perspective as a parent, and when you're talking about creativity, I'm wondering, with all the tools that are becoming available for our children, like the open AI and things like that, how do we maintain creativity in the generation that's coming up?
Yeah, no, you have to teach them very early on to think differently, to ask different questions. And again, I gave you this example. I'll keep going back to my 13 years. She's such an inspirational figure in my life. So she started learning computer science at the age of 6. I was in Capital One, so we have this Bring Your Daughters Day. So I started bringing her, right? Yashvi is her name. And by 7, she was spinning AWS, and so now she's 13. She's already picked up on AI, ML, and she wanted to learn Japanese in her middle school. And it was so fascinating. As part of Boolean Girls, she was like, hey, I have to do a project. What should I work on? And so we kept thinking about, hey, what's the type of project? These days, spinning up environment, doing the coding, all that is becoming free, to your point, right? So what is her own thinking? So what she came up with, I want a Japanese robot. And I want a Japanese robot doing chess. So this creativity is you have to keep peeling what is in her head. Again, only each individual know what is in your head. But if you keep peeling that creativity and not just bank on, hey, these tools giving you everything, because there is much beyond these tools out there in this human brain, and you have to peel that. That's why I said the skill sets are different even as a parent. As I grew up on somewhere on the streets, my parents, with the friends, riding bikes and stuff like that. These days, kids are growing up with these gadgets in their hand. 24/7, gadgets in the hand everywhere. I definitely need iPhone, I definitely need iPad, I'm like, how many gadgets do you need? You need one for coding, one for taking pictures, one for doing that. And of course, DALL-E and ChatGPT, whatever is not making it easy on them either, because everything it's there. But as a parent, my ask is keep asking questions which are beyond here and now. You can't give them only this box to ask. Let the creativity flow in things that are not imaginable. So she actually landed up doing the project on a Japanese bot playing chess. I'm like, okay, that's we haven't heard, so go for it, right?
It's awesome. All right, one more. Okay, quick one. Here you go.
So thank you very much, first of all. As humans, we didn't evolve from an evolutionary perspective to look at gadgets, to look at screens. Where do you see us going evolutionary in 50,000 years or so?
Yeah, that is the question. That is exactly the question. Anybody know answer to his question? Wow, whoever can answer probably will be much beyond this global richness that is going on. I do not have answer to your question, but that's exactly the question on my mind. But more importantly, I don't have an answer, but this is my ask. More importantly, I don't know your role. As you do your roles today, whichever role you play, think about if today is the day, what are we going to leave behind for that 50 years or 1,000 years or 100,000 years? That's all we can do, because we have only so much in our control. Beyond control, if we start thinking, then we are, like other question, individually we are only so much, but together we are whole. So why am I even doing, and why I got excited when Kavita and Brian reached out is, this is my calling, and I want to spread that calling. So if you can do this much, the only ask would be, if today is the day, what is it?
Excellent. Okay, I have one last question. You're in charge of 1,000 people at Capital One doing data and all that sort of thing, and we invited you to speak. And so in your experience, the higher you've gone, this is a leading question, but
has the humanity aspect only become more important the higher you've gone in your career?
To me, yes. To me, absolutely yes, because, and again, this probably goes back 18 years, Brian, when I first gave birth to my child. I was a hard-to-code programmer. Actually, I didn't tell you that part of my story. After learning microbiology, so my mind works in R&D. After doing microbiology, I had to stay in a town for my mom's health. There was no microbiology there. I was forced to learn C++ because that was the only thing going on in India at that time. Object-oriented, everywhere. I'm like, okay, got to learn this too now after doing my master's. Landed up doing my first, actually accounting software of all things. Landed up failing tremendously on that. Guess what? Failing on that, but didn't leave technology. 98, when I came to this country, I said, I'm going to go technology again because that's what I love doing. Microbiology again because that's what I love doing. Didn't get any visa. So forced again and again in that box of technology. Go do technology again, right? So I rose self-taught. Even today, AI, ML, I mean, I learned from Keynote type of experts out there, right? Like, what is it? What do I need to learn? So I just, actually 2 years ago now, I took the ML certification because so much was happening in the ML space, right? AWS offered ML certification. So I was a hardcore tech. And then as I got interested in this human brain and what the potential could be, especially when I was pregnant, I was like fascinated. How this brain develops inside a human body. Like, so fascinating. And so I just figured my calling is somewhere in this combination of tech, science, humanity. And so my mission, Brian, is to harness this energy that everybody has, each and every. So Kavita is sitting, Taran is sitting, Laurel is sitting in the audience. You can ask 4 of my own team member. Every day, I get up with that mission, and I sleep with that mission. How do I harness the goodness that the people have in them? That's my personal mission, professionally and personally.
Awesome. All right, please give it up for Nisha Paliwal.
Thank you.